Well, hello and welcome to Good Life GPS with me, your host, James MacNeil. Every single week, we bring together the leading experts, the top hearts, top minds to help you to discover your best path, your best life as your best possible self. Well, hello. Welcome, one and all. We are live, Good Life GPS, and today I'm thrilled to have Christopher Salem. This is a communications expert. This is, let me just, got to turn down the volume on something there. Communications expert, radio star, a couple of shows, plus podcaster, business accelerator. And when it comes to accelerating business, you are your brand. Your ability to communicate, to connect, to convert, to be able to manage all of the complexities of life with different personality styles, whether they're, that could be generational, that could be cultural, but can you meet people where they're at and help them to get where they want to go? Do you have that capacity? Well, this is a man who is an expert at doing exactly that and helping you do that to build your business, to build your ventures. And if you're watching this here on Good Life GPS and you're saying, well, why is James pressuring me? I'm not an entrepreneur. I don't run a big company. I'm a mom and I got kids and I got this. Well, you still deal with humans, and how you communicate will affect the value of your life, your relationships, your income, your peace, and the positive impact you're going to have on the lives around you. So this is for you, and I want to unleash and unlock your capacity to communicate with the expert here, Christopher Salem. Christopher, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show.
James, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I appreciate you, man. And we're going to be promoting, Christopher and I are part of an event coming up. It's the 3rd annual global speaking event. And we want to give them a big plug. It's a very exciting event. I'm new to the family. Have you been on one of their stages before? Have you worked with Anshu?
Yes, I've been with Anshu since the beginning, since she started. Yeah.
Wow. So at least 3 years, because this is the 3rd annual, right?
Correct.
Wonderful. Well, I'm a newbie. I'm just a new kid on the block, which means I haven't messed up. My reputation is still yet to be determined. What I want to do is promote the event. So it goes for like December 2nd to the 19th, I believe it is. And it's an all-star cast of great minds, great hearts, great experts, leaders, consultants, which is the kind of people we have on Good Life GPS. And you're speaking on the 11th, I believe, on time management. Is that correct, sir?
Correct. Yeah. We're going to be talking about the concept of valuing your time to manage it effectively. A lot of people try to manage their time, but they're managing distractions and just operating from out of default the same way that just gets them in their own way. So learning to value your time and prioritize better and delegate is a game changer when it comes to time management.
Yeah, the tyranny of the urgent, right? It's I'm busy dealing with the urgent and the in my face rather than carving out some time for me to decide what is the priority. I'm in reactive rather than proactive. And that can be, anyone can get sucked into that. Even if you've really been rocking and you have a habit of rocking and managing yourself and your time, you can get sucked into that. Would you agree that even highly effective, highly productive, highly proactive people can get sucked into this failure to manage and take leadership over their time?
If you don't set time to position your mind to be in the moment, to start your day each day, when you just get up out of bed and you kind of now just have to go right into life each day, you're automatically going to get caught up in the control you can't control in reactive mode. And that is no way to take a business, whether if you're a solopreneur, and go to the next level. You have to have that cushion of time to be in the moment, to build that foundation or sustain the foundation, and know how to respond to situations and other people each day rather than react.
Amen. And reactive rather than proactive to me is such a huge thing. If I start in a reactive mode, like I've got to do this, I got to do that, I gotta, then I'm a victim of external circumstances rather than the leader of the dance, whatever the dance is.
Correct.
And I think it's almost an act of faith, and maybe I want to talk about communications, but I just want to nail this down on time management. it seems to me like almost an act of faith. Like in the Christian traditions of things like tithing, like one of the reasons why the tithing is there is not because the church is broke necessarily, but rather it's a I'm telling myself I have faith in divine, that I'm not 10 cents away from death, that I am able to give freely. And it's the same with the Sabbath, to say I'm going to take some time because I can, because life isn't all about my doing, it's about my being, and I can afford it. I'm not in panic, I'm not in survival. And I think the multitude of people are feeling like they're in survival mode, when the truth is most people who are going to watch this are living in the best of possible circumstances. You have opportunities and technology, and you can do business around the world. It's the best time to be alive. But if you ask most people, it's the worst time to be alive. And it's that mindset that says, I see the opportunity, I see an open space ahead of me. And would you agree that faith in faith period, in whatever, is essential to master time? Would you agree that that's even part of it?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. Absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And one of the best, let's transition to communications, because one of the best things you can do for your time is become a master at communicator. Rather than have the same conversation 100 times and say, how many times do I have to tell you? Well, whatever you've been doing hasn't been working. So another 100 is predictable if you don't change. If you don't change how you're engaging with someone, the outcome will unlikely change. You're probably going to get more of the same if you keep doing the same. And of course, that's the famous Einstein quote: insanity is performing the same behaviors, expecting different results. So if you've run out of answers of how can I get through to them, how can I mass market myself? You know, it's one of the beautiful things being on the radio, as you are. And I did a radio show for a while, a little over a year. And I was blown away. I was at radio rallies. I'd be walking down the hall of these major event centers, and people would be screaming, "That's him, that's him." They've never seen my face, but they heard my voice. I've never been recognized by my voice before. And so radio is a very cool opportunity. But I just want to talk to you, if you're out there and you have a business, small business or major corporation, whatever, but if it matters to you how you impact people and how people make decisions, then I want you to think about becoming a master communicator. So think about it. If you could rock a stage, let's say you're talking to 100 people at a free event, you're not even charging, you're speaking at the local chamber or something. Well, when you're speaking, you've got 100 prospects. And so you've got 100-to-1 chance of increasing your business over one-to-one conversations and meetings. Plus you have an authority position. And so becoming a master communicator one-on-one and in groups changes everything. Would you agree, sir?
100%. Yeah. When you have the ability to really know your audience, and not just what you think it is, assume and speculate, but actually substantiate with, getting research, talking to actual people that you do target, to know what their true challenges are that can be better, the results they seek to have. Then you can devise certain value proposition messages that align to that, whether that is on your website, on your social media profiles, on your
Yes.
marketing collateral, when you're on a podcast like here, when you're speaking in front of a group. It's all neurologistic in terms of
Yes.
how you plant that seed subconsciously, for now to reduce the number of touch points, for now people to say, yes, I'm looking to
Yes.
take action.
And it really does. We assume that if they speak English and I speak English, we're speaking the same language. But that's just the beginning, right? So if I was speaking Japanese and you don't speak Japanese, that could be a problem. Well,
Well, yeah,
within
absolutely.
the spectrum of speaking English, there's there's like 1,000 languages within the English language. Are you speaking to that type of person or that type of person? You know, and personality assessment, cultural awareness, needs, the really know your client. You know, the financial industry has the KYC, know your client. And I think it would be wise if we all knew our audience and we all had some wisdom. And you do that with major corporations and executives, helping them to fully
Yeah.
understand
And
how their
yeah,
marketing. Go ahead, sir.
yep. Oh, just, and also solopreneurs as well. Absolutely. It does not matter if you're a one person business, or a small to mid-sized company, or even a large company.
I love it. Now, today, it's very clear to me that you and I could have fun talking for hours, and not just fun, but I believe would be delivering great value. What I asked you to help me with and help my audience with is the communication challenges. When people are frustrated, like why aren't people buying my product, or why do my staff not get me, or why do my managers get me, or why are the clients taking it this way or not taking it? Why is the website not converting? Why is my marketing not working? When people are frustrated and they're like, I've run out of answers as to what it could be. This is a place that you come in and you help people to figure out how to overcome communication challenges. So can you talk about that and start
Sure.
opening up the door on how we can overcome communication challenges?
Sure. Well, let's just start first with you. The reality is you can only control one thing. Well, you can control many things, but with one major area, that is you. You cannot
Yes.
control other people in situations outright. So with that being said, if we're going to have success in our business in terms of generating more, closing more business, generating more revenue, increasing profit, that always has to start from the inside out. You. So what
Yes.
you put onto the outside, if it's not being reflected, being done up front on the inside, it's not going to reflect favorably outside. So let me illustrate how this works. So with yourself, for any reason, if you are not having the results that you desire, could
Hmm.
there be something off with your messaging? Could there be something off with your marketing, your PR, your ability to sell? Sure, there can be, but
Hmm.
oftentimes it goes a lot deeper than that. What we don't realize is how we communicate to ourselves first from our inner dialogue plays a big role in how you communicate effectively to other people. Now,
Yes.
you're asking yourself, well, nobody could hear my inner dialogue. I could talk negatively to myself and no one's going to know that. So I can
Hmm.
fudge my way through. The reality is it comes out in the wash, just like with
Yes.
anything. So with this case, if you're operating from your inner critic more than your inner champion, and oftentimes this starts in your childhood, you are operating from what we call self-limiting beliefs. And it's those
Mm.
self-limiting beliefs now that the inner dialogue communicates to you that you are not worthy, you're not
Yep.
deserving, you're not what people think you are. If only people knew that I really can't do all the things that I projected myself to be, so on
Yes.
and so on. We've all had those conversations in our head. With that, the byproduct of that, when you are now communicating to other people, whether if you know this consciously or not, you are either coming across to other people in a passive and or aggressive way. So I'll give you an example. People who are passive communicators tend to be yes people. They are
Mm.
pleasers and enablers. They will go out of their way to give of themselves or give away their services, reduce their
Yep.
prices, thinking that they're going to now help you, when in reality, all it's doing is keeping people stuck, stagnant, and dependent on you,
Mm.
and you're never living up to their expectations. That is no way to grow a business, no way to create a valuable customer experience. Thus, that's not going to retain business. See, passive communicators don't realize that they're doing this because they have a strong need for validation. This was what they
Mm.
didn't get growing up as a child. So as they become adults, they become passive communicators. They will take on more than they can chew. They will
Yep.
take on other people's agenda over their own. And of course, they never live up to those expectations and thus cause, the person they're doing the work for not to be content with what they received, and you're not content because you're angry because you allowed somebody else's agenda to override your own. So with that it creates this circle, continuous this circle of codependency and dysfunction
Mm.
that don't lead to anything good. Number two, you could also become an aggressive communicator. Now, people that are aggressive communicators, oftentimes they might have grown up in a household or been in an environment where a parent or parents or some type of authoritative figure was a perfectionist. And that doesn't mean you're going to become a perfectionist. You could become the opposite. But let's say you do become a perfectionist.
Mhm.
And a perfectionist is someone that has a hard time trusting that anybody or anything can live up to the level of quality that they can do themselves. And a lot of times,
Mhm.
instead of delegating, They will take and just do a lot of the mundane tasks themselves because it's just easier to do than depend or rely upon somebody else to do it. What you don't realize is that when you're spending your time each day thinking it's only going to take you a couple of minutes to do it yourself, that couple of minutes adds up every day over a year.
Yes.
Time that you've taken away from other strategic tasks that could have moved your business to the next level. Now, because you have a hard time delegating, you can sometimes come across the people when you're forced to delegate, you micromanage them. You can be condescending in your approach and how you communicate to
Yes.
them.
Yes.
You're not building rapport and trust and actually pushing people away.
Right.
So these are two styles of communication that really do not serve you. And unfortunately, most of the world operates that way. Your
Yes.
customers are either passive or aggressive. You are the people you're working for. So you can see
Yes.
how this dysfunction just alls we're doing is just managing the problem. We're
Yep.
not solving it to create solutions. Now, we have the ability to learn that even though we are hardwired to operate from the survival mindset, no different than when a caveman left the cave to hunt for his food. In this case, we can learn to now be assertive. And assertiveness is the ability to understand yourself, to
Yep.
know thyself, know your
Let me.
strength. Oh, go ahead.
I want to interrupt you. Well, I don't want to interrupt you, but I am interrupting you. And the reason is, uh, I just want to talk to the listeners for a moment. For those of
Sure.
you who are watching and now feel like, oh no, I'm everything Chris just talked about. I'm guilty of all of the passive stuff. I'm guilty of all of the aggressive stuff. If that's what you're feeling, welcome to my world. I'm listening to Chris and I'm going, I'm a communications expert and I'm guilty of everything he just said. So, what I want you to know is, I don't think you're alone. I don't think I'm alone.
Nobody's
We
alone
all
in this.
we all have the
I'm a
passive.
recovering passive communicator, everybody. For 31 years, I'm a recovering, and I'm also a recovering aggressive behaviorist. So
Wow.
I'm a passive aggressive. So
Yeah, yeah.
we're all
And
part of the
so,
same club.
that's what I wanted to really help people hear, because I had a communications expert tell me once. He said if I was to hit you in the head with a stick, he said, what would you expect? I said, what do you mean? He says, well, what would your head look like? I said, oh, well, I might have a bump, I might have a scratch, I might have, an open wound, and that would be horrible. He said, yes. And none of that is your responsibility. It is real, but it's a response to what happened. So many of us may have passive tendencies that we picked up in childhood survival mode or from our authority figures. We may have aggressive tendencies, and that's what Chris was just helping us understand. So first, I want you to know that what is, and now, right? So it is what it is. And if you've picked up passive tendencies, aggressive tendencies, if you see yourself exclusively one or the other, that's not the end. Chris is about to share with us the beautiful, healthy, appropriate adult state of assertiveness. And so I just wanted to set that up, because I don't know how people are feeling, right? Because what you just said is so accurate, so poignant, that I just wanted to encourage everyone. And now I want everyone to be ready for your talk on assertiveness. So hit us.
Absolutely. So like I said, you're not alone, and because the person next to you is either one or the other or
Yep.
both.
Yep.
We're all in the same boat. But when we can be aware, and now we can learn each day that we can get better at being assertive, like it took me a few 3 years to get into assertive role. We
Yeah.
have to we have to know thyself. We have to know what we're good
Amen.
at, what we're not good at. We have to be able to let go of those self-limiting beliefs that were forged in childhood. Now, that's a whole separate thing that I could spend a whole topic on for an
Mm-hmm.
hour, but just to kind of set the stage, assertiveness is the ability to be specific, clear, and concise
Mm.
with yourself and other people. So meaning that there is very little to no room for assumption and speculation. The
Mm-hmm.
reason why expectations fall through the cracks, the reason why we're continuously managing problems in our business is because we assume and speculate what's
Yes.
important to the other person rather than substantiating that. And how we can find out is not only doing research, but asking more questions. So a lot
Yes.
of sort of communicators don't tell their customers how, when to do it. They share and ask questions. They disguise the impact they would normally tell people what to do. They disguise it in questions. Now, what if now what assertiveness knows even better? What if most of your audience might fit into around a certain personality type? So I'll give you an example for me. I work with a lot of business owners, anywhere
Mm-hmm.
from a solopreneur to a small to mid-sized business. Not all of them are going to have the same personality, but a majority of them are going to be what we call a D on the DISC profile. They're very task oriented.
Mm-hmm.
They desire results. They don't want to get into the weeds and how to do it. So spare me the details. Just show me
Yep.
what I got to do to make the challenge better to get the results.
Yep.
Be direct. Now, since that's the bulk of my audience, that's how I have to communicate to them. My website, the first thing they see on my website is not how I could help them, because they don't care about how. They care about
Mm-hmm.
what. The first thing they see on my website is, what if your business metrics unfolded in a narrative, continuous growth and revenue? Question mark. That interrupts their thinking. What? Yeah, my metrics could be better. What do I have to do now to make that
Yes.
happen to get the results? Then I say a narrative of compounding revenue and net profit fostered through stronger team leadership dynamics and creating a valuable customer experience. So I'm saying that you first got to create a psychologically safe workplace, whether it's just you or how many people work there.
Yes.
Build that engagement now to create an experience from within, and that reflects outward to create better experiences. When you now create better experiences, you sustain business, you get referrals, you get upsells. That will increase revenue, profit, and all the metrics that you're doing. So I just now if they're interested now, like I want those results, now they
Yes.
might go down and want to find out more and what I do and how I can help. They don't care what I do and how I can help them until I give them a reason. See, task-oriented, results-oriented people like what questions? Now, if I
Mm.
were targeting an engineer, a project manager, and that was most of my audience, they're compliant people. They're analytical in their thinking. I would open up with the how question, because they
Mm-hmm.
want to know how we can make the challenge better. So I want to have more details
Yes.
to get the result. If I'm targeting people-centric people that are a leader, like an
Mm-hmm.
influencer on the DISC profile, they want to know who it impacts first before they get the results. They're the opposite of the task. The task people want the results. Spare me the details for one. Show me what we have to do to get the results. That's the details. But with the people centric, who's going to impact? So I got to open up with the who question. Who will it
Mm-hmm.
impact to make this challenge better to get these results? And if I'm targeting a like a team player, like a customer service person,
Mm-hmm.
someone who's a team support player. They don't want to make decisions. They don't want to take calculated risks.
Right.
But if I'm going to build rapport and trust for them to be a champion to get to the decision maker, I got to relate, because they're systematic. I got to relate to the why. They want to know
Yes.
why we have to do this to make it better to get these results. When you know now through assertiveness yourself and how you communicate, I can adjust my communication both verbally and in writing across all platforms to subconsciously now get into that. This can be through your newsletters, your email marketing. This is what gets now people to now say yes sooner than later,
Yes.
because you've now elevated that challenge that relates to them, because you're speaking their language. They may not know this consciously. That's the game changer. You do this internally with your either people that work with you or work
Mm-hmm.
for you, your joint alliance partners. Now, you're not going to maybe know their personalities off the bat, but nonetheless, you can do some research on LinkedIn, on
Mm-hmm.
Facebook, on social media, get an idea of what might be the drivers of their
Yes.
personality, and do some, maybe take a personality assessment for
Mm-hmm.
yourself. Now, what about generational types? Older generations like baby boomers and older Gen X, they didn't have access to resources like the younger generations did. They only
Right.
had so many. So they were used to a little bit more detail. So we can be detailed more with our messaging, verbally and in
Mm-hmm.
writing, with older generations. With the younger generation, that won't work. You got to speak and write like a checklist, not like a paragraph, because their attention to detail is very narrow. You
Yes.
would be shocked that many times I've worked with businesses that have been around for 30 years, and they say, yeah, our target market is 25 to 35-year-olds. And meanwhile, I'm saying, I'm your target audience. And they're going, no, you're not. You're in your late 50s. I said, yeah, but I'm your target audience. And they go, no. I said, yeah, your message hasn't been changed in almost 30 years. 30
That's
years
right.
ago, I was that age. You're targeting a Gen X. You're not targeting a Gen Z. Oh my God.
Powerful.
I didn't
Powerful.
know that. That's why your lead gen and your SEO was not performing, because the message wasn't aligned. This is why you're not converting and closing more business. Now,
Yes.
what about culture and ethic types? You said here, different cultures operate differently. What
Sure.
we do to our fellow man or person in the United States would be different if you were talking to an older executive in Japan.
Yes.
I'm
Yep.
not going to shake the hand of an elder Japanese executive. That's an insult. If I bow and take his business card and look at it, acknowledge it, thank you, like that, that's a form of courtesy. That builds rapport and trust. Shaking their hand destroys that immediately. That first perception is I don't want to work with you. So
Yes.
in the English language, we take it for granted. Even if somebody speaks English and English is not their first language, English, there are words and statements that can mean more than one or two different
Hmm.
things. So if a person where English, they speak English, but it's not their first language and they're doing this, doesn't mean they understand. This is where
Yes.
assumptions and speculation fall through the cracks. When it comes to effective communication, I'll end on this. Effective communication, especially when you're speaking
Hmm.
or just talking one to one or one to few, 55% of effective communication is through body language, because people are always going to remember how
Hmm.
you helped them to make them feel versus what you said. They're not going to retain what you said, but they're
That's
always
right.
going to 38% in the tone of your voice, knowing how to adjust that based upon
Hmm.
personality, generational types. If I'm talking to engineers, I'm going to be more reserved, not monotone, but not as enthusiastic. But if I'm with people centric people, I can be a little bit more charismatic with them,
Yes.
knowing how to adjust that. So there, and then only 7% words. So it's 55% body language, 38% tone of voice,
Hmm.
7%. So words are not as important
Yep.
as you think. And then finally, if you want to reduce assumption and speculation in the communication process, remember, you can't control other people in situations. You can only control yourself. You are always responsible in the real world for as the sender and or the receiver of
Yes.
communication, because we can't control what someone's going to perceive what you
Yep.
said. You can control it from you by asking questions to assure that as they answer back that you're
Hmm.
on the same page. So there, I just
Love
wanted
it.
to give you that.
Wow. Well, Christopher, it's clear to me that there's far more to this communications thing than most people are aware.
Oh
And
yeah.
it goes deep and wide, generational, personality type, whether it's disc, whether it's the generations, of course, and then Albert Morabian's work on communication breakdown, whether it's visual, vocal, or verbal, so powerful. And for most people watching this, you might say, I'm starting to feel like a deer in the headlights. And if that's the case, we knew that this would be a brief conversation, right? And we wanted to stimulate your interest. And I asked Chris if he has some kind of a document that he'd be willing to give out for free, something that you could read, maybe a simple mini assessment of sorts. But instead, Chris went way farther than I could have imagined. He said, "I'm willing to meet with your viewers. So if you would like to know the truth about how you're communicating, where are the opportunities for growth, and how you can maximize and master your communications internally, right? How you talk to yourself, interpersonally, publicly, through marketing, with your teams. If you want to master communications, the future belongs to the communicator. And if you want to master this, you're going to take advantage of this. Chris is actually going to allow you to go right into his calendar and book an appointment. It'll be a short appointment. Now, I just want you to be very respectful. So Chris is, to get 20 minutes of his time, it's I would say a minimum worth $500. And he may say, James, you're aiming too low. But I want you to understand this is a huge gift. But if you are serious and you want to master your communications, you want to know the truth about how you're showing up, you want to know the truth about what it's costing you. And if you want to master the skills of adaptability to say, I know how I am, my defaults, I understand that. And I want to be mindful that this isn't all about me. this is a communication with somebody else. I can't control them, but I better start learning to control me, to be sensitive and adaptive, and to meet them where they're at to help them get to where they're going. If you're serious about that, I'm going to encourage you to book a meeting, and this link will work until he can't take it anymore. But if you're serious about it, I want you to book an appointment and talk to Chris personally. And it will be Chris. It won't be one of his staff. This will be Chris. And so if you're serious, I want you to book this appointment. And I can't believe that you're doing this, by the way. That's incredibly generous. And I want to make sure that people are respectful of your time. So if you're going to book an appointment, show up and show up ready. So Chris, what can people expect? That they'll talk to you personally?
Absolutely. I mean, there's no pressure. There's no obligation. We're going to assess where you are with communication with yourself. If you have people you work with or alliance partners, also through your marketing, sales, and PR efforts, and just, giving you some insights of where you can now take that to improve and grow your business. A lot of people take this for granted, and they're spending tons of time and money on lead gen and SEO, and it's not performing, not because those sources don't work, it's because you're not communicating properly.
Right.
You don't have the right messaging like you think. So don't put the cart before the wheel. This is a golden opportunity to get some clarity and insights, and you could take it from there.
Beautiful. And so I will be putting the link in the description. So if you're watching this, and if the link isn't there, it's because we're live. And so I'll put it in as soon as we're not live anymore. We will stay alive for a good long time, I hope and pray. But I will put the link to meet with Steve, Christopher, directly in the link. And I want everyone here to plan on showing up for the full 3rd annual Global Speakers event. And remember that Christopher will be speaking on December 11th, and his focus there will be time management. But you don't have to wait to then. Get into his calendar, have a one-on-one, and see if he can't help you make your life and your relationships and your businesses far more rich and rewarding and peaceful. So I encourage you to meet with Christopher as soon as humanly possible. And sir, I can't thank you enough. I've taken more of your time than I promised, but I just couldn't resist. And you're a gold mine. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, James, for having me. A pleasure to be here.
Well, God bless you. And I look forward to speaking with you much, much more, hopefully having you back and going deeper. But for one and all, registered for the 3rd annual Global Speakers event, and get yourself on Christopher's calendar and have an honest conversation about how you can take your communications to the next level. One and all, thank you for joining us. God bless. Have a beautiful day, sir.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for watching Good Life GPS. I hope you've got great value. We are committed to help you find the best path to your best life as your best possible self. Now, if you have a show idea or if you'd like to be an expert on the show, please contact us using the contact form in the description. Thank you. God bless. See you soon.